Hi everybody, welcome back to our weekly live stream. My name is Alicia and today we're going to talk about how to study and remember English or any other languages vocabulary. So today I'm going to talk about a method of study called spaced repetition, and I'm going to give you some tips for where to get your vocabulary lists, how to use them, and when to study, like how often to study. So if you have been sending questions to us about studying vocabulary, like many of you have, I hope that this lesson has some useful tips for you. This is something that lots of you ask about, so I hope this can help many people. Of course, if you have questions, please send them in the chat and I will try to check them live throughout the session today. Okay, I see a few people joining. As you join us live, please do send us a message in the chat and make sure to like and share the video so other people can find today's lesson. We're going to begin in about 1 or 2 more minutes. I guess while we wait, in case you missed it, last week we had some very exciting news on our channel. Last week, our channel, the English Class 101 channel, reached 3 million subscribers. Yay! So we took a couple pictures with some of our team members. This is not everybody, but these are a few of our awesome team members. They make everything possible, all of this stuff that you guys watch every week and every day, some of you. So this was a huge milestone for us. So thank you again to everybody who takes the time to watch our videos and learn with us and connect with us. It's super awesome. So if you missed it last week, that happened last week. Super exciting for our whole team. So we'll continue to be making more hopefully interesting and useful things, and of course trying to make things that help everybody specifically. So today's topic in that theme is about studying and remembering vocabulary. Also, another announcement, I mentioned these free PDFs every week, but we have lots of new ones available. These are a few of the new ones. I printed them out to show you. I will show you close-ups a little bit later of some of these, but these will be super useful for today's lesson and for your studies. So I'll show you these later. There are new ones though. I won't probably show them all, so please check the link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook to see them all. Okay, that's all for announcements. I will say hi to people now. Hello, Sakura from Japan. Hello, Demian, Sharif, Kanchan on YouTube, Samuel. Hello, everybody. And on Facebook, I see people on Facebook too. Khalid, Anissa, Elma, Ika, hello. Thupten, hello, everybody. Amin, oh, a person named Amin, hello. Okay, great. So lots of people are joining. Lots of people are here. Fantastic. I'm going to share the video and like the video, and then I'm going to start today's lesson. So as I said, today's lesson is focused on spaced repetition. Spaced repetition. So this is a system or like a method of studying. So today, for today's lesson, I'm going to look at using spaced repetition to study vocabulary, but this is something you can use to study pretty much any other kind of memorization related topic. So it's not just for studying language, but it is an excellent tool for studying language. So let's begin here. This is a key word for today's lesson, spaced repetition. Spaced repetition. So what is spaced repetition? Why do we need it? Why is it useful? First, the concept. Spaced repetition is studying with spaces between your study sessions. So this is different. Like the opposite is what we call a cram session. A cram session, or like cramming style studying. So cramming style studying, I did this when I was a student, maybe many of you do it. Cramming is like the night before a test, you pick up like your vocabulary or you pick up your topic and you just try to study everything in one night. Like you put it all in your brain for a short period of time and then use it for the test. But the problem with cramming is that you forget it. Like after the test, you just forget everything you studied. So you study a lot in a short period of time, remember for a short period of time, and then you forget. So this spaced repetition is different from cramming. So cramming, C-R-A-M, that's how you spell this, is one time, like a one-time study session. Spaced repetition, though, the idea is that the first time you study something, this is like a kind of basic schedule over a couple of weeks and a couple of months in this case. The first time you study something, or rather at the beginning of like the first time you learn a new word or the first time you learn a new grammar point, you need to refresh your memory a lot. So refreshing your memory is important to learn something long term, not just for one day. So the first time you study something, let's say it's like a new vocabulary word or a new group of vocabulary words. For example, like if you decide, okay, I'm going to study all of these words on this PDF. So you study them all one time. Then you need to study again really soon because they're new, like it's all new information, and you need to refresh your brain again. It's like it's all new, so I need to be reminded of the new information again. So maybe you study once on like today you study, and then again tomorrow you study the same things, and maybe you forgot. It's natural, like that's normal to forget a few things, so you review those things. Then you study again like 2 days later maybe, the same things, and gradually you make more and more space between your study sessions. So maybe in week 1, you study the same words like 4 times, for example. And then in week 2, you study like 2 times or something like that. And then further and further, you study like once a month or whatever. You have to give your brain time to remember the word. And in order to do that, you need to study several times over a longer period of time. So you can already see this is very different from just cramming everything in. So trying to put everything into your head is great for short periods of time, but if you want to remember vocabulary, if you actually want to be able to use your vocabulary for a long period of time, you have to keep refreshing your brain. You have to keep reminding yourself so that you can actually remember these words. Okay, so a couple other points about this. Spaced repetition, like this is a good concept, but I know many people are super busy, of course, so it's hard to remember like when to study, like when was the last time I studied, or when was the last time I studied this word or this group of words. So now we have software. We have software that can tell us when to study, that tells us, okay, it's time for your study session. Like you can use your phone, you can use an app, you can use software, you can use like our stuff, the stuff we have at EnglishClass101.com. You can use lots of different tools to help you remember what time to study and what words to study also. But a couple of things. First, remember in most cases, software is input only. So by that I mean, if you use an app, like you decide you're going to use an app to study vocabulary words, you read the word on your app, like, okay, this is the word beautiful, and you remember it, yes, but you have to be responsible for the output. So not just reading the words, not just remembering the words. That's where you have to be responsible. If your software doesn't have like an output option, some softwares do. If your software does not have that, you have to be responsible to say the word, to write the word, to make a sentence with the word. So these are examples of output. So you need to be using the words that you learn. Don't just put them in your head, but actually use the words. So this is another really important point to remembering. So not just input, like if you can read the word, great, that's fantastic. But to use the word, you have to actually use it. You have to actually make things, create things. Okay. Then final point here, if you don't want to use a software, you can use flashcards, just basic flashcards. So writing something on a piece of paper or writing something on small cards and quizzing yourself like every day, that's another way to do it. It may be just kind of difficult to do on a specific schedule. So software is really helpful. Okay, so that is the first point for today. I haven't checked the chat in a while because I wanted to explain today's concept. Any questions specifically about vocabulary words? I'll try to look at those. I see people just writing comments about, yes, this is helpful, this is helpful. Okay, cool. Yeah, some people, Anissa on Facebook says, I always forget vocabulary. Totally, me too. I totally forget vocabulary. So refreshing your memory a lot. You need to be able to refresh your memory, remind yourself of those words you studied back here. And to do that effectively, you need to study now and then, not just one time or two times, but you need to study regularly. So it's like reviewing. And another kind of cool feature of this is that when you study, you can review old words and learn new words at the same time. So you can put like a new group of words into your study like plan or your study sessions, and you can like learn new words. Like if you've studied one group of words for a long time, cool. And then maybe at this study session, you introduce a new group of words that's starting here. So there's lots of really cool things you can do with software. Okay, Eric says he has many questions. All right, thanks, Eric. Okay, am I the same woman on the other English live stream? Probably. There are a few of us teachers on the live streams. Okay, someone, Lindamar says, I use flashcards with my students as well. Yeah, great. Okay. Someone, Gabriella says, the big problem is pronunciation. So if you can remember vocabulary words, but remembering pronunciation is difficult, then as I said, remember to practice output. So when you read the word, if you know that pronunciation is difficult for you, practice output. Like say the word at the same time as you see it on your flashcard. So don't just read it. And if you don't know the pronunciation, lots of you say this, if you don't know the pronunciation of a word, go to an online English dictionary. For example, Merriam-Webster's or Collins Dictionary. They have a button on every word in the dictionary, so you can hear the pronunciation in American English and usually British English too. So go to a dictionary, it's totally free. You can check the pronunciation of any word in English. Okay, good. So I'll take a quick break there, and then we'll talk a little bit about some other ideas, some ways to get words and when to study. So quickly, maybe not so quickly. I said there's new PDFs. I'll show you on this camera over here. There are new PDFs that we have for you to download. I was looking at this one because, of course, our lessons are online. Oops, sorry. This is a new PDF. Talking online is the topic of this. So there are all of these vocabulary words you can use for your devices, and on the back, some useful expressions. Here, I'll do this. Useful expressions you can use on the internet, on social media up here, these little initialisms, and then a lot of other vocabulary words here. So this is an example of something you could make a group of flashcards with these words. You could study these as one topic of study at a time. Other new things, I saw a couple other ones I wanted to show you, especially, which were, where'd it go? I don't know. Okay, here's another one that I thought was good, sports. Some of you have asked about sports recently. This is a sports and exercise vocabulary page. So again, another group of vocabulary words you can train using spaced repetition, so to help you remember all of these words more effectively. So these are just a couple of examples of the new PDFs that we have. I'll show you some more again later. But like I said, if you download like a PDF, for example, and make a set of flashcards, or if you use a spaced repetition software, you can practice for 2 weeks, one of these PDFs and master that. So this can be a great tool, to get some words, to get a list of vocabulary words to study. So I will show you more of these later. Okay, let's move on then to the next part of today's lesson. Yes, the PDFs are free. You can get them if you have an account at EnglishClass101.com. Check the link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook. If you're watching on Instagram, please check YouTube or Facebook. And sorry, I cannot see your comments live. Okay. So let's continue to part 2 for today. Also, quick reminder, if you haven't yet, please make sure to like and share the video so other learners can find today's lesson. Let's go to part 2. Part 2, I started talking about it a little already. Word lists. So some of you say, how do I find vocabulary words to study? How do I know which words I need to study? Here are some ideas. First, you can download vocabulary lists from existing software. So existing, this means someone made this vocabulary list. That's what it means. There are already lots and lots of vocabulary lists on the internet you can download for free, especially if you use a spaced repetition software. So I keep saying spaced repetition. These spaced repetition softwares are called SRS, like spaced repetition systems or spaced repetition softwares. So you can find SRS decks or lists of words that already exist on the internet. If you have an SRS app or something, you can maybe find it inside your app. So for example, if you are an EnglishClass101.com member, I think if you have the basic, premium, or premium plus subscription, you can access, we have word lists and a flashcard system so you can practice. We already have I think a group of 2,000 core words for English, so you can use those if you have an account on the website. If you have paid accounts, you can access all of the word lists, so you can check those out too. Another thing you can do if you want a free resource, this is a very popular SRS, spaced repetition tool. It's called Anki, A-N-K-I. This is a free software that you can download to practice memorization. So if you don't have budget to buy a software or something, you can get this. And they have what are called decks. So a deck is like a deck of cards, playing cards, yeah? So we imagine our word lists or flashcards are like a deck also. So you can download a deck of thousands and thousands and thousands of cards, and you study with something that looks like this. So in the software, there's the vocabulary word, and then there are some buttons you can choose at the bottom. So you see the word, and you have to ask yourself, do I remember this word or not? You can choose, no, I don't remember this word at all, or it's a little hard, or it was okay, I got it, it was okay, or it was very easy. So you choose an answer to this, and the software remembers your answer. The software remembers your answer and chooses when to quiz you again on the same word. So these kinds of software are super, super useful for remembering which words to study, which words were easy, which words were difficult for you. The software remembers for you, so you don't have to remember. So your responsibility is to open the software to make some time to study. So this is a free resource that you can use. As I said, we have, of course, our vocabulary lists on our website if you are already a member there. And I mentioned too our PDFs. So if you know there's some topic you want to study, like this is shopping at the supermarket, vocabulary words. This is one about making plans with time, so talking about schedules. So if there's a specific topic you want to focus on, you can take a PDF, one of these, and put all of these vocabulary words into your software to practice studying that way. So there are many ways that you can use existing information to create your word lists. Some other ideas. You can look for specific news articles. So if, for example, you're interested in politics and you have a website you always read, you can choose a specific news article and take key vocabulary words from the article, put it into your vocabulary study system, and you can practice those vocabulary words until you master them. Other ideas, you can use blogs. So if there's a blogger or maybe even someone's social media feed maybe, you can use those. You can use those resources as vocabulary word resources. So when you see a new word, you have to kind of train yourself. See a new word, take the word, put it into my flashcard deck or my group of flashcards so that I can study it. So these are just a few ideas of places you can get word lists. Of course, your textbooks also have word lists if you use textbooks. That's another idea as well. Of course, if you have other ideas, you can send them in the chat so that other people can see your ideas too. But these are some places where you can get lists of words already made and some ideas for how you can custom make your vocabulary lists too. Okay. I don't see any questions yet, so I will continue on. Let's see, we've got about 9 minutes. Yeah, everybody's just saying hello and they understood. Some people I'm on Facebook said, how do we get the free PDFs? So these ones I mentioned, if you want to get these, if you're watching on Facebook, there's a link above the video, not the chat box, but like above the chat area or above the video on Facebook. Below the video in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. Please log in to the website with your account. If you do not have an account, you can make a free account. Okay. Person says, how do I learn words with the same translation? For example, target, goal, purpose, objective. Yeah, so one, recognizing that the words are different, great. And then if you think, these words seem to be the same, check a dictionary to look at the differences. And I recommend checking example sentences too. Because sometimes when I check a dictionary, I understand, like you say, the translation of the word, but I don't understand the nuance. I don't understand like the small differences in meaning until I check example sentences. So I say dictionary, yes, but also check the example sentences to understand it. And sometimes, quite honestly, lots of people use the same words interchangeably. Okay, good. Let's continue then to the last part of today's lesson. I guess I'll take one more break and show you a couple more of these, the new ones. I haven't shown you yet. So this one, this is the one I was looking for earlier. This one is about hobbies. So this says leisure time activities, which means hobbies. So the things you do in your time off. So if you want to study hobby-related vocabulary, this is a good resource. On the back, lots and lots of vocabulary words that you can practice to be able to talk about your hobbies. For more specific hobbies, like for example about music, this says singing, but this is actually about music. There's a lot of music-related vocabulary on the back here. So please check these out. There are lots and lots of new ones. I don't think, I have a couple more, maybe if there's time later. But please check the link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook to check out all of the new PDFs that you can use for your vocabulary studies. Okay, let's go to the last part of today's lesson then, please. Today's lesson, the last part, will be about when to study. So if you missed it, I talked about this spaced repetition, this idea of having a gap between your study sessions as you practice, as you review vocabulary words. So when should you study? First, every day is the best. Studying every day is the best. Finding a little bit of time to study vocabulary every day is the best. So I know like lots of people are busy, but if you just kind of change a little bit of your existing schedule, it can be kind of easy to find 10 minutes or 15 minutes here and there. Some ideas. During your commute, so your commute means your travel to work or your travel to school. So if you drive a car, it might be a little challenging, but I've heard of some people who do listening practice in their car on the way to work. So they do like a listening, vocabulary listening sorts of things. This could be an option if you drive. Other things, during your lunch break, you can study. Take 10 minutes in your lunch break to review vocabulary, maybe after dinner or before you go to bed. or before you eat breakfast, or maybe after school if you're a student. So there are lots of different times during the day. Of course, everybody has a different schedule. Everybody has, a different kind of feel as well. Like, I hate mornings, for example. I am not a morning person. It takes me a super long time to wake up. I like to sleep late. So for me, I don't want to do anything before breakfast. For me, it's like late afternoon is the best time for me. So that's when I prefer to study. In my case, actually, though, like, my favorite time to study vocabulary, when I studied vocabulary, my favorite thing to do, and the thing that was most helpful for me, I was using an app. And I studied on my commute in the morning and at night. My commute was very short, like 15 minutes or so. So I studied 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night, and that was 30 minutes a day. That's a true story. I did that for like a year or so, and I learned a lot of vocabulary that was really helpful. I was using a spaced repetition system too, so I remembered it as well. So that's what was helpful for me. That was very helpful for me. You can find something that works for you specifically. So, but key point, try to study every day. Try to study every day. Of course, if you miss a day, that's okay. That's fine. But try to make a little bit of time every day because you refresh your mind. Like, if you're refreshing your mind every day a little bit, it's really, really good to do. So try to study every day. Okay. Any more questions? Alicia, okay. Bori on Facebook says, I always study English after school. Nice. So you already have a specific time. Maybe some of you already have an English class, so maybe you can study just before your class to review your vocabulary. Good. Marcelo on YouTube says, on my commute works better for me. Yeah, that was my case too. Studying on my commute was really, really good for me. I liked that a lot because otherwise I'm just gonna check social media or something. It's like I can check that anytime. So I just changed how I used my time and studied instead. Okay. Other points. Someone says, if I miss a day, I'll get lazy. I understand. I totally understand. But it's like, if you quit, you'll regret not continuing. So it's like, if you miss a day, just go, oh no, and then start again. So don't get down on that. Penny says, do these tips apply to remembering grammar rules? Totally. I think so, totally. So it's not quite the same like studying vocabulary words. Like, we can't always just pick up a flashcard and remember all the grammar rules of something. But you can use the same idea. So for example, if you study present perfect tense at the beginning of your, here, and then you study it you review it the next day. What is it? How do I use it? What's it used for? And then you study it the next week, and then 2 weeks later, you can do that. And then I think with grammar, you naturally use it. So you might not use all of your vocabulary words a lot, but with grammar rules, you're naturally using them. So if you refresh yourself a few times in the beginning, I think it becomes much easier long-term to remember. So don't just study a grammar point one time. Okay. It's really hard to remember words for things relating to medicine and disease. Yeah, I would say, again, just put them in a flashcard. Put them in a flashcard deck. Find some word list. Get your words together and put them together in a flashcard group that you can study with the same system we've talked about. How's my Japanese vocabulary? Pretty good. I do pretty good. I don't know how many. I don't know how many words I know actually. I'm not sure. Other questions. Let's see. Facebook. I don't see specific questions about vocabulary or, let's see. Someone says, what can I do to improve my listening? Well, if you're talking about vocabulary listening, then you can use this and you can try to listen as well to our videos or to audio podcasts at the same level as what you're studying. So that might help you. Okay. Good. I don't see many questions, so I think I have to wrap it up as well. So it is half past the hour, so we'll conclude there, I think. Wow, look at me. I'm on time for a change. All right, so I'll end there, but I hope that this lesson gave you some useful tips for studying vocabulary. Again, the system I talked about, the method I talked about here was spaced repetition. Spaced repetition, you might find spaced repetition systems or spaced repetition softwares called SRS. So please check that out or make your own flashcards and your own study schedule. I wish you the best of luck with your vocabulary studies. But I have to finish, so today's lesson will end here. We will be back, of course, next week. Next week's topic is, yes, everyday English idioms. Everyday English idioms. So I'm going to talk about maybe 12 to 20 or so. I've chosen a few, like hit the hay or knock it out of the park. I'm going to talk about some everyday English idioms that we use for those little bits of like daily life. So please join us next week. That will be Wednesday, August 21st, 2019. We'll be here 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is New York City time. If you don't know your local time, please Google it and join us to talk about everyday English idioms. So this will be kind of like a vocabulary lesson, but like phrases. We'll talk about some set phrases to use. So join us again next week. We'll be here. I will sign off, so please check out the new PDFs I showed you earlier. These are all for free from the link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook. If you're watching on Instagram, please check the links on YouTube or on Facebook. And we'll see you again next week. So thanks very much for liking the video and for sharing the video, for sending your questions. That was awesome. And enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.